America, we got to get back to doing what's expected of us as free citizens in this democracy. That means being tolerant, being respectful, staying informed, and being engaged. I'm former Congressman Joe Walsh. Follow me here and join the millions of Americans who are renewing their social contract with each other. The social contract, it's on us. Hey, good morning. Happy Tuesday to all of you. You know, with what we're going through right now as a country, you gotta embrace the good and the bad. You gotta embrace the suck. You gotta embrace the uplifting and the depressing. This country that we all love is going through something, and none of us know how we will come out of this. But there's no use me coming with you every day and bullshitting you and telling you things are great and things are fine and we're going to get through this and everything's going to be better. Because I don't know that. And you don't know that. And I know that there are so many of you who listen to me every day and follow me every day who are tired of, exhausted by the bad news every day. I mean, we have a horrible man in the White House, one of America's two major political parties is an authoritarian embracing cult. Bad shit is happening in this country every single day. And it feels like, I get it, because it's what I do every hour of every day. It feels like it's just overwhelming, right? And we don't want to spend all our time just bitching and moaning about where things are, bitching and moaning about that horrible man in the White House. The bottom line is, and what I always try to do with the social contract is say, this is on us. Trump's who he is. My former political party has become what it is. My new political party is what it is. If you, like me, are genuinely concerned, I mean scared to death with where this thing is going, man, you've got to face and look at the hard truths on a regular basis. Things are bad right now in America, and they're going to get worse. I promise you that. They're going to get worse. Things are going to get ugly. Things are going to get violent. I don't know for how long, but it's going to get worse. I've said ever since Trump was in the White House the first time that Americans, the American people, are going to regret one day that they decided not to give a damn about character, about a person's character, about a politician's character, about a president's character. The American people have made crystal clear by electing Donald Trump twice that they don't give a flying fuck about an individual person's character. And even most Trump supporters in their private, honest moments will admit that. I campaigned my ass off for Kamala Harris last year. I can't tell you how many voters told me point blank, Joe, I know Trump's a horrible guy. I know he's an asshole, but But the Democrats suck. But the Democrats are elitist. But our border's broken. But they're eating cats and dogs. But eggs are too damn expensive. Point is, so many Americans in November of 2024 knowingly chose an utterly horrible human being. Knowingly. They knowingly decided that a president's character, the kind of person he is, does not matter. I've been thinking about this with this Epstein stuff that's back in the news. The story that broke yesterday, right? The Epstein estate released to the House Oversight Committee a bunch of belongings from Epstein's estate, including that big old birthday card from Epstein's 50th birthday. And no surprise, Donald Trump lied when he said he didn't know anything about that birthday card drawing that he gave to Jeffrey Epstein. It was Trump's. He lied about it. That's not news. Trump lies as he breathes. But again, I'm watching the coverage of this, and I'm looking at what Trump sent Epstein so many years ago. And I'm looking at everything else that was in that big birthday greeting of Jeffrey Epstein. And it's clear, right? Everybody knew this guy was a pedophile. Donald Trump knew Jeffrey Epstein was a pedophile, and he hung around with him and he was best friends with him. Everybody knew, Donald Trump knew that Jeffrey Epstein was running the largest pedophilia ring in this country, maybe the world. Trump knew that, didn't give a damn, probably participated in it. And I'm thinking to myself that it doesn't matter. I was on somebody's podcast yesterday, and they asked me if it's proven in the Epstein files that Donald Trump is a pedophile, that he raped underage girls, would that matter to his base? And I said no. If Trump's voters knew for certain that he was a pedophile, it wouldn't matter to 99% of Trump's voters at all. Think about that for a moment. Think about that. But is it that crazy? Trump's a pathological liar. It doesn't matter to Trump's voters. Trump is openly corrupt, i.e., he's using his office right out in the open to enrich himself by billions. That does not matter to Trump's voters. Donald Trump tried to overthrow an American election. That did not matter to Trump's voters. Oh, I could go on. We don't have enough time. The point is, his character doesn't matter. He's an insurrectionist. He's a traitor. He's a psychopath. He's a pathological liar. He lies as he breathes. He's cruel. He's mean. He's a bully. None of that matters. He's an utterly horrible human being, and Donald Trump's voters have proven that none of that matters. His character doesn't matter. Why in God's name would you think it would matter to Trump's voters if he in fact were a pedophile? It wouldn't. MAGA, Trump was spot on. MAGA, Trump nailed you early on when Donald Trump said I could shoot somebody in the middle of New York City and they would still vote for me. He nailed you. When Trump said that, he nailed you, MAGA. We're going to regret this. As a nation, we are going to regret that the American people have said a candidate's character, personal integrity, it doesn't matter. Throw it out the window. I mean, think about it. Think about it. And again, even in an honest, private moment, most of Trump's voters would admit this. They would never. You would never work for Trump. You would never, ever do business with Trump. You'd never hire Trump. You would never partner with Trump on anything. You would never be friends with Donald Trump. You would never trust your wife with Donald Trump. You would never trust your 14-year-old daughter with Donald Trump. Donald Trump is everything that we all, you all, MAGA and left, all of us as parents. Donald Trump is everything we taught our children and teach our children not to be. And yet you voted for him. He's the antithesis of what you taught your children to be. You would never, ever trust him. You would never work for him or with him, yet you voted for him. Now, I posit that that says a hell of a lot more about you than him. It really does. And MAGA, I get it a lot. I understand a lot. You're pissed off. You're pissed off at the left. You're feeling ignored. You're feeling you got these resentments. Trump's going after the people you can't stand, whatever your justification is. The fact that you voted for a guy you would never, ever do business with, you would never trust a member of your family with, and a guy who you teach your children to be the opposite of, you voted for him. So you told the country that you don't give a damn about a candidate's character. Scary, bad place to be. I think a place that we all will regret if we're not already regretting it now. I mean, what'd we do? We told the American voters, told the American people, told the world, a candidate's character doesn't matter. You can lie, steal, cheat, break the law, be above the law, be corrupt, fuck around on anybody, enrich yourself, be a bully, be a coward. Doesn't matter. We've told everybody who voted for Donald Trump told the rest of the country that it's now okay to vote for horrible people, as long as that horrible person is doing what you want that horrible person to do. Look, again, the House Oversight Committee put out all of this stuff yesterday. Keith, you got that Trump drawing? Remember the Wall Street Journal? Thanks, Keith. Hold that up for a sec. The Wall Street Journal, this is what Donald Trump drew. This was his birthday greeting for Jeffrey Epstein when Epstein turned 50 years old, when that pedophile turned 50 years old. Hold that there for a minute, Keith. When the Wall Street Journal put this out a couple months ago, Donald Trump said it was a lie. He didn't do that. It's a big hoax. It's a big lie. Well, the Epstein estate yesterday gave to Congress the entire birthday book. And in that birthday book, there is what the Wall Street Journal showed 2 months ago. There's Donald Trump's greeting birthday note to Jeffrey Epstein with Donald Trump's signature. That's an image of a young girl. Trump's signature. That's an image of a young girl. And in that birthday greeting, that happy birthday note from Trump to Epstein, Trump alludes to something that he and Epstein share in common in private, what they'll go to their graves with. And he wrote that on an image that he drew of an underage girl. MAGA, I think you can put 2 and 2 together. I mean, like what I learned yesterday again, I didn't learn anything. Like everybody thought this was huge news. Oh my God. So Trump really did put out this birthday note to Epstein. A Wall Street Journal was telling the truth. Trump lied. That's not news. Like I was thinking when I went to bed last night, it's not news that Donald Trump lied. Of course he lied. He lies as he breathes. And it's not news that Donald Trump is most likely a pedophile. It's the obvious explanation. That's his note to Epstein. He drew a prepubescent young girl, a naked young girl. And he said to Jeffrey Epstein, you and I share something in common, man. We got a bond, man. We're going to take it to our grave, something really private. Well, Epstein's a pedophile. He ran a pedophilia ring. Donald Trump shares something in common with him. I don't know. Again, the obvious answer is the president of the United States right now is a pedophile, most likely. And does that matter at all? And here's the other weird thing. Keith, you got that other drawing from Epstein's birthday book? Look at this. And MAGA, if you just can't accept it because he's your leader, like Bill Clinton, Bill Clinton is all over this, MAGA. Yeah, I know that. I mean, Bill Clinton sent Epstein a birthday note, not as weird as Trump's, but Clinton is in the birthday book. So Bill Clinton sent Epstein a birthday note. And so MAGA jumps all over that. See, Joe, Bill Clinton's, he was on that plane. He's a pedophile. You're all ready to jump over that, but you can't say that Donald Trump is. Show me that sketch one more time, Keith. I'm sorry. Thank you, brother. This was also in the birthday book to Jeffrey Epstein in 2003 when he turned 50. It's a drawing of Epstein in 1983 handing balloons to teeny weeny little girls, like 7, 8, 9-year-old girls. And then 20 years later, there's a picture of Jeffrey Epstein naked being taken care of sexually by 4 young girls. The point is this: everybody knew who Jeffrey Epstein was. Donald Trump knew who Jeffrey Epstein was. Donald Trump knew that Jeffrey Epstein was a pedophile, and Donald Trump, in his own words, remained best friends with Jeffrey Epstein. Probably, sadly, you can take that, Keith, thanks. None of this will matter. And again, what I said a few minutes ago, I think it's obvious, and this is what got me kicked off of TikTok by Donald Trump. I think it's pretty obvious that the most likely explanation for all of this Epstein mess, right? Like Donald Trump and Pam Bondi and Patel and all the other right-wing folks a year or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 years ago, they're telling us all that these Epstein files, man, are going to expose all. The Epstein files are going to expose big, powerful men in the deep state who raped young girls. And Trump said, and everybody said, elect me and I'm going to expose them all. And then Trump gets elected, he's in power, and Trump decides not to release anything. And Trump says there's nothing there. It's a Democratic hoax. The only obvious explanation, the most likely explanation, is that Donald Trump is most likely a pedophile, and there's evidence in the Epstein files to that end. And so Donald Trump will not allow the files to be released. I mean, I'll close on the Epstein thing with this. But let me just say again to everybody, I'm not, there's no uplifting show today. If you want uplifting, go somewhere else right now, because I'm telling you that the American people have said the character of a candidate doesn't matter. It didn't matter that Trump's an insurrectionist. It doesn't matter that he lies as he breathes. It doesn't matter that he's a bully, a coward. It doesn't matter that he works for Vladimir Putin. It surely will not matter if it's proven that Trump is a pedophile. We're going to regret this, America, because this is going to lead now to candidates of abhorrent character. And MAGA, you can't say, oh, if 2 years, 4 years from now, that a candidate's character matters. You can't do that. Once you sold your soul to Trump and you said a candidate's character didn't matter when it comes to Trump, well, then a candidate's character doesn't matter with anyone. But it also goes to how dishonest they are. JD Vance yesterday, when this story broke, Keith, you got that? JD Vance puts out a tweet yesterday when the Epstein thing broke again, and it was proven again that Trump lied. And here is his birthday greeting, his note to Epstein. It's right here. JD Vance says, the Democrats don't care about Epstein, blah, blah, blah. They don't care. They were silent for years. It's just like Russiagate. It's a hoax. It's a hoax. It's a hoax. Nobody's fallen for it. That was JD Vance yesterday. Keep that up for a sec, Keith. It doesn't matter to Trump's voters, sadly, when they're lied to. That was JD Vance yesterday. Do you remember what JD Vance said not even a year ago? 3 weeks before last year's election? Do you remember, MAGA, what JD Vance said? 3 weeks before the November election, JD Vance said all of the Epstein files must be released. And JD Vance promised that if he and Trump won, they would release Jeffrey Epstein's entire client list to clean up DC, to clean up the deep state. That was JD Vance 3 weeks before the election. Release it all, man. Elect us, and we're going to release and expose it all. Thanks, Keith. And now JD Vance, because he works for Trump, says it's all a hoax. Hypocrisy, lies. Oh, we're miles beyond that, guys. Remember, character doesn't matter. JD Vance knows that, MAGA. JD Vance knows that he can go on any TV show or go on Twitter and just openly lie because he knows his voters do not care anymore about being lied to. Now, you can blame JD Vance for that. You can blame Donald Trump for lying every time he opens his mouth. But I choose to blame the people who JD Vance and Trump lie to, because they've given Trump and JD Vance permission to lie to them. His voters, man, were salivating at the thought of releasing these Epstein files. You know it, MAGA. Deep state's going to be exposed. And now they've said, doesn't matter, Trump and JD, if you're lying to us, if you say now it's a hoax, whatever, we're fine. We're with you no matter what. You see what happens when the American people knowingly allow politicians to lie to them. They lie to us and we still support them. When we do that, we're telling our politicians to lie to us more. MAGA, do you understand that? Hey, second point I want to make this morning on this a downer of a show is this. A lot of people accuse people like me of political hyperbole when I say that Trump is a threat to democracy, when I say that Donald Trump attacks our elections process, when I say that Donald Trump will try to fuck up the 2026 election, when I say that, with Trump in the White House, I don't know that we'll have a 2026 election. With Trump in the White House, I don't know that he'll physically leave the White House after the 2028 election. I believe all of that. I believe that we all have lacked sufficient imagination in this country for how bad Trump will get. And way too many of us still lack that imagination. Donald Trump is publicly telling us, he's not even trying to hide it. He's publicly telling us how he's going to attack our elections. He's telling us. He's telling us he's going to put troops on the streets. He's telling us he's going to put troops on the streets in 2026 in blue cities, in blue states, in Democratic precincts. He's telling us he's going to use troops to intimidate voters, to keep people from voting. He's telling us that. He openly called Texas and told Texas to gerrymander now to try to cheat and find 5 more Republican seats. He's done that with 4 other Republican states. He's not trying to hide what he's doing. Last week, Donald Trump put an election denier, a woman who believes the 2020 election was stolen, a woman who helped Trump try to steal the 2020 election. Last week, Donald Trump put that woman in charge of election security in the Department of Homeland Security. Trump is telling us how he's going to attack our elections process. Cleta Mitchell, she's a longtime right-wing lawyer. She's a woman. You got that headline, Keith? She's a woman, Cleta Mitchell is. There she is. She's a woman who worked closely with Trump to break the law, commit crimes, and try to overthrow the 2020 election. Cleta Mitchell was on a talk show yesterday, and she said, you know what? Donald Trump, the president, may ultimately take control of our elections process. Donald Trump, she said, may declare some sort of emergency powers to take over our elections process. This is one of the lawyers who worked the closest with Trump and his band of traitors to try to overthrow the 2020 election. And she's acknowledging in public yesterday that, Trump may do this. The president may just declare like some sort of emergency and then take over the elections process in all 50 states. He can't do that. Thanks, Keith. Elections in this country are run by each and managed by each and overseen by each individual state. Trump can't do that, but that's not the point. Trump can't run for president again, but he may try. Trump can't put soldiers on the streets of Chicago. He has no constitutional authority to do so, but he's going to try. I mean, Trump doesn't give a fuck about laws. Trump doesn't give a fuck about the Constitution. And here's his right-hand person, his right-hand legal person, kind of seeding the turf, getting Trump's voters to begin to think about and get excited about and support Donald Trump openly overtaking our elections process, the president of the United States. The point is this: Trump and his people, just like Trump very publicly enriches himself, right? He doesn't do it behind closed doors. He openly and publicly uses his office to make a shitload of money personally. Trump and his people are doing the same thing with their attacks on democracy. They're doing it all out in the open. And they do that because they want to normalize it. The whole point of putting troops on the street is to normalize it so that the average American gets used to seeing troops on our streets, right? So that the American people won't think anything of it next November on election day and in the 2 or 3 weeks before elections when Trump puts troops in Democratic precincts to keep brown and black people from voting. Donald Trump by then, a year away, Donald Trump by then wants the American people to just think that this is kind of normal and there's bad shit going on. So I'm glad the president has troops out there. This is all part of normalizing lawlessness, normalizing attacks on our democracy. Cleta Mitchell, what she said yesterday, Donald Trump's lawyer would not have said that unless Donald Trump told her to say that. I've been a Democrat now for 3 months, and I continually to just say to my new party, wake the fuck up. Oops, sorry about that, Keith. Wake the fuck up. These people in my former political party who would attack our elections, who are planning to subvert and fuck with and cheat and attack our elections. They're telling us what they're going to do. They're not trying to hide what they're doing. So Democrats, you need to wake up. This is a 5-alarm fire. Like the 2026 election, if it were a house, the house is on fire right now. The house is on fire. So wake up, Democrats. Meet this moment, Democrats. Rise to this moment, Democrats, and fight back, Democrats. Meet this moment. I know there are some Democrats trying to. The Democratic establishment is utterly clueless. The Democratic Party establishment is still living like in the year 1995 or 6, where you had two kind of normal American political parties and they argued and debated issues and shit like that. That ain't now, man. We have one political party that is openly attacking the founding principles of this country. Openly attacking representative democracy. That is what, by the way, the state of Texas did. That is an open attack on representative democracy, mid-decade redistricting. Dems, we either fight back or we lose it. We lose this democracy. My Substack below, there it is, Social Contract with Joe Walsh. .substack.com. Do me a favor, subscribe to my Substack. It would mean the world to me. Everything I do, think, write, say, feel, show, it's all right there on Substack. So go there. Thanks, Keith. Okay, old Joe showing his stupidity again. I missed that. Oh, there it is, Keith. Joe is showing his stupidity again. Joe, crawl back in your hole. Who's that from, Chaz? Chaz, love you, brother. I'm not crawling into any hole. And if you think I'm stupid, tell me what you disagree with, Chaz, and you and I can have a dialogue, a respectful dialogue. How about that? Go to my Substack, subscribe to my Substack, socialcontractwithjoewalsh.substack.com. If you got an email, by the way, Chaz, send me an email, Chaz. If you think I'm an a-hole, send me an email. Let you and I have a talk. I'll give you my phone number, Chaz. Let's you and I have a phone call, a respectful phone call. The social contract with Joe Walsh at gmail.com. That's my email. The social contract with Joe Walsh at gmail.com. Everybody, thanks for listening. Have a good Tuesday. Be brave.
Thank you for listening. Remember to listen, share, and follow The Social Contract with Joe Walsh on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and everywhere great podcasts are found. And be sure to leave a 5-star review. This has been The Social